On Zoom. Am I audible now? I think my mic was turned off, so I'm really sorry for that. Yes. So, I hope all of you are giving the mains this year in 2026. In this session, we are going to talk about one of the most important aspects of the answer writing, right? From the thumbnail, you have seen the title was how to tackle the most difficult question in the mains, right? Or how to decode the most difficult question in the mains. But I'm not really sure in that title how many of you have focused on this part, that is how to decode most difficult questions, right? This was a title. So I'm pretty sure many of you will be focusing on this particular word, that is difficult. Ki how to tackle the difficult question, because there are bouncers every year, right? In every paper, be it GS paper 1, 2, 3 or 4, there are always a bouncers question, couple of bouncers question, right? But hardly few students are going to focus here, that is decode. So very important thing which you need to understand today in this session is questions are bouncers, no doubt. Few questions are bouncer, right? They are difficult to understand the demand or even the concept itself, especially when the questions are very, very static. But otherwise, questions को हम लोग खुद difficult बनाते हैं. When you are not able to decode the demand of the question, be it even generic question. Agar, if there are generic question even, and if we are not able to decode the actual demand, it means you are making the question difficult on your own. And it happens with so many questions in the entire paper. Because from last couple of days, I have been going through the copies of many students who have given couple of mains interviews, and I asked them to attempt the previous year's questions only and write it down, write the answers. And you won't believe that almost every student, almost everyone has followed the same approach to write the points. They, as far as the structuring is concerned, as far as the content is concerned, as far as the value addition is concerned, almost everything is same. And then I thought, let's talk to each one of you who are going to appear for the mains and give you some insight as far as the mains answer writing is concerned. So the very first thing is you need to understand, if the questions are difficult, it is not difficult for you alone, right? And when the questions are difficult, obviously the content, as far as the content structuring is concerned, everyone will be compromising with the same. So game वहां पे है ही नहीं. गेम है उन क्वेश्चंस में which looks very easy, जिसके पास, जिसका कंटेंट हर स्टूडेंट के पास है. Those are the question where you need to focus on, because the reason is when we look at the previous easy questions, we rush to write the answer, right? हम लोग 8-10 पॉइंट उठा के उसको डंप करने की कोशिश करते हैं. And today I'll give you a perfect example. I have picked up 7-8 question, and then you will see like 2 question, 3 question from history, geography, like this. I have picked up the question and I will explain you what should be the decoding mechanism you need to adopt. And student, try to understand these aspects which I am going to talk about is something which you need to learn, and it will only come when you will practice it. And that is the reason we are here, right? So isko daily basis pe please try to practice it. Okay, so I hope you got the idea. So it is not the demand or it is not the nature of the question which makes it difficult, but it is the interpretation of the question which makes the question more difficult. Because like I said, if the questions are easy, everyone will have the content, everyone will have the value addition points, everyone will have the perfect structure. But when everything is perfect in all the answers, it becomes difficult for the examiner to give you extra marks. फिर वहां पे एक generic अप्रोच फॉलो करता है एग्जामिनर की, इसको 3 नंबर दिए, इसको भी 3 नंबर दूंगा, किसी को 3.5 दे दूंगा. It is very difficult to score 4.5 and 5 marks in those answers. So in this session, you will learn today how you can decode the demand of the question so that you can get at least 1 marks extra. At least 1 marks extra. And why I am so confident in this? Because I have seen the improvement in the marks as far as the last year result was concerned. There are like many rankers who have told me personally that they were able to increase the marks by 70, 80, right? And even just before this session, I was talking with the rankers, because you know that the rankers are a part of this program. Like there are 5 rankers, and even they have verified that yes, these techniques even they have followed. So please try to focus on whatever we are going to discuss. And it's my promise to you, after this session, your way of thinking or the way you used to decode the demand of the question will drastically change. Okay, it will drastically change, but to what extent you can follow in the examination hall, that depends on you, right? So if you are not going to practice them on a daily basis, then you won't be able to apply it. And it has nothing to do with the content. It has nothing to do with the content. It's all about how you think, how you look at the question, right? So there are 2 things, broad aspects, which you always have to keep it in mind when you are reading the question. The first is the examiner's mind, right? What is the examiner's mind when he was framing the question or when he framed the question? That is the first thing. Second thing is basically when you are writing an answer, don't treat yourself a student, right? You have to treat yourself, or you have to think like an administrator. You have to think like an administrator. Without these thoughts, you cannot excel in any answer. आप एक स्टूडेंट की तरीके से डंप करके आओगे आंसर्स में. Trust me, and I'm going to show you the proof. Many of you have given the already have attempted the 2025 mains. So the questions which I have picked up is from GS paper 1, and then you can just try to recall what you have written in the mains. And today in this session, I'll tell you how you could have thought differently, right? So there are 6, 7 questions, and all the questions are very, very important. Okay, mains smasher notes, you will get it on the portal. If you are a part of any short mains program or mains camp or rankers program, all the smashers we have uploaded on the portal. So please try to find it, right? So the first question for today's session is this question, right? This question was pretty easy. Discuss the salient features of the Harappan architecture. It was a 10-marker question, right? Now, as soon as you read the question, I am asking you, all of you, student on the Zoom or on the YouTube, what did you write the answer? What did you write the answer? I am pretty sure as soon as you have read this question, you would read this question, you will rush to write the answer. Because everyone is aware of the salient features of the Harappan architecture, right? Everyone is aware of the features of Harappan architecture. And what you might have done is just listing down these features like this. And I have seen the copies. Few days back, I was looking at some copies of one of the student who was veteran, and he has done the same thing. And it was not only in one case. 3, 4 answers I have seen. I have asked them to write the answers so that I can give you the feedback, which program is best for you. So they wrote the answer and they came with their answer. And then when I discussed the answers, every one of them has done the same thing. They have just listed down the various features of the Harappan architecture, right? Be it related to the water conservation, like, right, grid system, right, citadel, ports development, right? This is how basically they have written the answer. And obviously the examples. They have also given the examples like the name of the sites, right? And few students have also drawn a map. Which is good, right? But now this approach कि art and culture के questions में map बना दो, history के questions में, modern history के questions में map बना दो, everyone knows it. So now if you are going to draw a map and you are thinking that examiner will give you 0.5 marks extra, answer is no. It is not going to happen anymore, because in every answer almost every student is going to use the map. As far as the Harappan civilization is concerned, they are going to talk about the various name of the sites in the map. Now the question is, how are we going to think like an examiner and how we can write like an administrator? That is the important point you need to understand, right? So the question says, discuss the salient features. Now just tell me one thing. If you have written the answer of this question like this, okay, if you have written the answers like this, then what would you write if the questions would have been enumerate or describe, or rather just enumerate, forget about the description. If the question would have been enumerate, what you would have written? Tell me. Yes, please on Zoom, give me the answer. Don't you think you would have written the same answer if the question would have been enumerate? Then what is the purpose of this discuss word? What is the purpose of this discuss word? That is what you might have missed. Because when the examiner is using the discuss word, he wants you to discuss the salient features of Harappan civilization. He don't want you to just list down or enumerate the features of the Harappan civilization. Now the question is, discuss का क्या मतलब है? Because discuss is, like I always say, it's a hybrid command word, right? It can be used as a critical command word like analysis, examine. Sometimes it can be used as a descriptive command word like enumerate and all. So in this case, it is a hybrid command word. Hybrid means you are not just supposed to list down the features, but you need to understand why examiner want you to know the salient features. मतलब हमको क्यों पता होना चाहिए कि what was the salient feature of Harappan civilization? क्यों पता होना चाहिए? There has to be some relevance, right? And these features basically which you are listing down in your answer, what it reflect? ये क्या reflect करता है? As far as the society is concerned, as far as the culture is concerned, as far as the administration is concerned, as far as the urbanization is concerned, as far as the development is concerned, right? So to understand the societal aspects, cultural aspects, administrative aspects, urbanization aspects, developmental aspects, even economic aspects or environmental aspects, right? Even environmental aspects, economic aspects of the Harappan civilization. We are reading, we are supposed to know the features. Yes or no? Tell me. So the idea is, आप फोकस कहां कर रहे हो? आप फोकस यहां कर रहे हो. मैं चाहता हूं फोकस आप यहां करो. Because we are reading about the features to know the society of the Harappan Valley civilization, culture, administration, लेकिन आप क्या कर रहे हो, यू आर जस्ट लिस्टिंग डाउन द फीचर्स. सो बेसिकली प्रॉब्लम कहां पे है, प्रॉब्लम है सब्सटैंशिएशन. आप सब्सटैंशिएट क्या, आप बेसिकली there are two things in the answer, right? There are two things in the answer. One is the substantiation and the second is the argument. Second is the argument, right? Usually the answer, in any answer, the argument has to be followed by the substantiation. Yes, the argument has to be followed by the substantiation. In this answer, what you are doing, you are just substantiating. Where is the argument in the answer? There is no argument at all. And this is exactly what has happened in the answer. Srinivas, yes. So, does it make sense? कि हम अब argument कैसे generate करोगे आप? That is the question. This is the argument. This is the argument. So, when I said in the very beginning, when you are reading the question, you have to think like an examiner. When you are writing an answer, you have to think like an administrator. You cannot treat yourself as student. Otherwise, you cannot score a good marks. Trust me, this. Okay, I hope this is very clear. Now, let's move on to the next aspect. अब हम ये सब चीजें पढ़ रहे हैं. Now I am thinking like an administrator. I have started to think like an administrator कि मैं ये सब चीजें क्यों पढ़ रहा हूं? What is the reason why I am reading this? My question is why I am reading this? Why I need to know, why I need to develop an understanding about the Harappan culture, about the Harappan society, about the Harappan administration, about the development planning, about the environmental protection. Why? Because it has a contemporary relevance. Because it may have the contemporary relevance. It has a contemporary relevance. So, this dimension alone will help me to fetch at least, I am telling you, 1 or 1.5 extra marks. And you can ask yourself how many of you have done it in your answer. भैया आप बहुत लोगों ने, आप लोगों ने आंसर लिखे हैं, कितने लोगों ने किया ये चीज? Tell me this. Has anyone thought about this? What is the contemporary relevance? Answer is no. अब देखो, when you will think the contemporary relevance, you will have a lot of points to add in your answer. जैसे आप अमृत, right? Smart City Mission, right? स्वच्छ भारत अभियान, water harvesting, right? इन सबके एग्जाम्पल लिख सकते हो कि नहीं यहां पे? Tell me. You can write down the example. These are the value addition. So, first, in answer writing, you have to open a scope. Right? Examiner will not give you a hint how to basically, or what is the scope in the question itself. So, you have to find the scope in your interpretation. Only then you can add the value addition. Otherwise, आपको आता सब कुछ है, but still you are not able to use it in the answer. So, as far as this entire question is concerned, you know what mistake you might have committed in 2025 means. Right? आप खाली substantiate करके आ गए हो without any argument. So, the argument should be like based on these aspects and substantiate with this with the example जो आप यहाँ पे लिख रहे हो. And then the contemporary relevance. So, there should be ideally 2 demand in this question. Otherwise, you will be struggling with 10 to 12 points in this only. And फिर कुछ generic comments आएंगी, कुछ overlapping होगी answer में, right? So, from this question, we have got the idea. One is basically argument and second is substantiation. Argument has to be followed with example, that is substantiation. And third is, जो मैंने बोला कि examiner's mindset and the mindset of the administrator. ये 3 कंपोनेंट्स हैं जो आपको हमेशा अप्लाई करना है. And we are going to see. Now I will ask you whether you can apply the same in the next question. Okay? Chalo. So, for example, the generic answer: grid-like pattern, covered drainage system, citadel, lower town division, standardized burn bricks, great bath, right? Granaries, dockyard. This is what you have done in the answer. Lekin the best answer is broad ideas: urban planning, administrative organization, civic consciousness, social organization, public life, economic sophistication, environmental adaptation. So this is the argument, and this is the substantiation. Correct? Now I will go to the contemporary relevance. Why? What is the contemporary relevance? Like planned urbanization. Yahan pe see these points. Has anyone written these points? Because जो गवर्नमेंट फोकस कर रही है अर्बनाइजेशन के ऊपर, डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर, द लर्निंग फ्रॉम द हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन और द लर्निंग फ्रॉम आवर पास्ट इज टेकन इनटू द कंसिडरेशन, and it has been integrated in the contemporary planning. And that contemporary planning we can highlight through these examples, and this will reflect the administrator mindset कि आप एक स्टूडेंट के टाइप से नहीं सोच रहे हो आंसर को. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. सो ऑल दीज एग्जांपल्स विल हेल्प यू टू फेच एटलीस्ट 1 मार्क्स एक्स्ट्रा. हो सकता है 1.5-2 नंबर भी दे दे आपको एग्जामिनर. अगर वो 3 नंबर दे रहा है एवरेज लिस्ट डाउन करने में, तो यहां पे आपको 4.5 देने में ही विल नॉट हेजिटेट, ही विल बी मोर देन हैप्पी. एंड इमेजिन दिस वाज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इन योर पेपर. दिस वाज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. And just if you would have done the same mistake in next 3-4 question, I'm sure you will not be able to make the examiner happy. No matter how good content you write in the 15 marker question, they are not going to evaluate the copy from the last page. They are going to evaluate the copy from the first page. So the first 5 answers are the most crucial answer or the most crucial part of this entire mains. If you can make the examiner happy, if you can change the perception of examiner, then that is the most rewarding aspect. 5 आंसर में अगर आपने गड़बड़ कर दी तो फिर आप कुछ भी कर लो, नहीं देने वाला है वो नंबर. And I have like some of my students have also told me, because they have got their copies when they have attempted the state PCS exam. So this is exactly what has happened कि पहले 5 में 3-3 नंबर मिले तो आगे भी 3-3 नंबर दिए गए. Right? Yes, Shambhavi. This one. Right? Now, look at this question. Please, I want you to think like this. Okay? First, I want you to just recall what you have written. You have given the mains? Okay. I want you to think what you have given or written in 2025 mains. It was a second question, right? Examine the main aspects of Akbar's religious syncretism. क्या लिख के आए थे अपने आंसर्स में? Please tell me. Tell me. Because I know what you might have written. I have seen the answers. Many students, they have replicated the same way of interpretation as far as the question is concerned, as far as the points are concerned. So I know what most of the students have wrote. Because अगर मैं एक administrator type सोच सकता हूं, if I can think like an examiner, then definitely I can also think like a student, right? So being a student, what I will do, as soon as I will read this question, I will rush. मैं jump कर जाऊंगा. यार, I know everything about the Akbar's reign, like what are the various steps he has taken, and I will start focusing on the religious syncretism, right? What was the religious syncretism? I will start thinking about the various examples. Example means, for example, like Sulekul, right? Din-e-Ilahi, Ibadat Khana, abolition of Jizya, Rajput policy, right? All these points I will start. Yes or no? हम लोग examples को, मतलब they are basically They are not the argument. Remember this part. They are not the argument. They are mostly the example for substantiation. Example for substantiation. And example for substantiation means this cannot be the argument. Now I want you to think what are the argument. If you have to use this as a example, how are you going to generate the argument? क्योंकि हम लोग इसी को साइड हेडिंग बना देते हैं. आप लोगों ने भी ये चीज किया होगा कि इसी को साइड हेडिंग बना दिया होगा एंड अंडरलाइन कर दिया होगा. And you will start thinking the examiner is going to be very happy after looking at my answer, because I have listed down all the steps the Akbar has taken as far as the religion is concerned. But again, this is not how you should think, right? Because why now I'm thinking like a examiner. Why does the examiner has the examiner has framed this question? Because he wants you to understand how or what was the Akbar policy and what was the purpose. Purpose kya tha Akbar's ki policy ka, right? So argument generation ke liye I will start thinking what was the purpose. What was the purpose of the Akbar's religious policy? And when you know the purpose, only then you will be able to generate the point, right? So yahan pe idea is very simple. Before thinking this, I want to know, I should be writing what was the purpose, right? And how this purpose fulfilled, right? So now I can use this example here. But what about this? बताओ भी ऑनलाइन क्या पर्पस था? This is what you have to think. Otherwise, what argument are you going to generate? Because the question says examine, right? Sorry, examine the main aspects of Akbar religious syncretism. अब यहां पे ये मत सोचना कि examine is a tail word. Examine is a critical tail word. I will tell you what most of you will do. You will talk about the significance of religious syncretism, right? And you will think about the challenges. How many of you have thought about the challenges in this answer? How many of you have thought about the challenges? But more than the challenges, what is more important? Why I need to know about the religious syncretism? Because it has a contemporary relevance again. It has a contemporary relevance. So this is how you have to think. So as far as the purpose was concerned, so most of the student will write like this. But if you are an expert, if you think like an examiner, you will talk about the various values, right? These are the various values you can talk about. The value of tolerance, the value of equality, the value of freedom of worship, political integration, cultural synthesis, ethical universalism, social harmonies. This was the purpose of Akbar's religious policy. And how Akbar has fulfilled through these reforms. So this is my substantiation and this is my argument, right? So cause and effect relationship is clearly highlighted. This was the cause and these steps were the effect. Is this clear now, everyone? So don't have a very narrow way of interpreting the question. Guys, please try to understand this part. These are subjective questions. There cannot be a very objective approach. You have to think subjectively. कि subjective question है, interpretation can be subjective. Even though the question is very, very descriptive, don't think objectively. Always think critically. In exam, UPSC always appreciate those answers which reflect the critical thinking. Critical thinking, बार बार इस वर्ड को मैं emphasize कर रहा हूं. UPSC is going to reward those answers where the critical thinking is highlighted. Right? No matter, even if the question is descriptive, even if the question would have been just enumerate, still I would say think critically. Like what could be the contemporary relevance? मैं क्यों पढ़ रहा हूं? Why do I need to learn about the Akbar's religious policy? Because it has a contemporary relevance. What is the contemporary relevance? For example, for equality, for inclusive governance, religious freedom, right? Cultural integration, shared civic values, the same point. I searched the same question on Google. Many question coaching institute wrote this answer by taking substantiation as their main point, and I always refer that answer is ideal answer. Himanshu, okay, you are going to become an administrator, right? The responsibility of whole district, after some time, the entire nation will be in your hand. Are you going to blind on something? Are you going to believe in something so blindly? Whatever we are discussing in the class, does it make any sense or no? Is it logical or not? Because whatever I talk in any of the session, there is always a logic behind it. मैं कभी ये नहीं बोलता हूं कि नहीं यही सही है या ऐसे ही लिखना है आपको. I'm just trying to teach you guys to think differently. If you cannot think differently, you cannot create an impact in the answer. और जब आप 1-to-1 आंसर लेकर आओगे ना मेरे पास, then I will show you how there is a huge scope of improvement in every answer. Because when I claim that I can teach you or I can give you the idea at least how to increase your marks, 1 marks extra in each and every answer, I mean it. Because मैं content से ज़्यादा इस skill पे भरोसा करता हूँ. And it is logical also. So please don't rely on anything blindly. Right? No one is going to talk about all this. I have the examples. I have so many rankers are associated with me from the last year. They have done this and they have got the good rank. 70-80 number बढ़ाना is not a joke, right? So I hope this is clear. Now, अब इसी में मैंने सोच लिया. Now I have started to think like an administrator. If I am an administrator, how can I integrate the learning from Akbar religious policy? How can I use the learning from Akbar's religious policy and where I can use it? That is how I will come to this part. For inclusive governance, right? And there are government scheme and the constitutional mechanism which are based on the same policy. For example, Article 14, Article 25(8), women reservation, Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, constitutional morality, national integration initiatives, right? So these are my contemporary relevance which I can highlight in the answer. And again, this will give just 1 marks extra. Challenge के साथ बोल रहा हूं आपको 1 number extra मिलेंगे. Right? So now let's look at the next question. The sculptures filled the Chandela art form with resilient vigor and breadth of life. This was the question UPSC has asked. अच्छा, ये तो मिडाइवल पार्ट है, इसमें करंट आर्टिकल रेलेवेंट होगा. ओके, वी विल टॉक अबाउट दैट. देखो, अभी तक हमको ये पता चल चुका है इन आर्ट एंड कल्चर, राइट, इन आर्ट एंड कल्चर और इवन इन मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री क्वेश्चंस, we can add a new aspect, that is the contemporary relevance. The contemporary relevance can be linked either with the government schemes, the recent government steps taken for reforms in the society, for reforms in the administration, for reforms in the economy, for reforms in the urban development, urban planning, right? क्योंकि हम हिस्ट्री पढ़ क्यों रहे हैं? Just for the sake of reading it because it's in the syllabus? If the historical fact, the event does not help us in the contemporary time, why are we reading it? That is the question you should ask yourself. The reason why we are reading the historical facts, event, because it helps us to understand the contemporary problem and use the knowledge to solve it. That is the reason, right? So now, as far as this question is concerned, the sculptures filled the Chandela art forms with resilient vigor and breadth of life. Now, most of the student, while addressing this demand of the question, पहली बात तो ये question hard था, right? Because we are not very comfortable with the facts related to the Chandela architecture, but still I believe at least एक दो examples तो पता होंगे, right? But more than the substantiation in such kind of question, right, I will talk about the argument. I will talk about the arguments. Now, what could be the possible argument in this case? Now, I want you to think, why do we read about the various art form? हम art forms के बारे में क्यों पढ़ते हैं? Think like this: to know about the society, to know about the polity, to know about the administration, right? That is the reason why we learn the art forms. So, जिन लोगों को ये क्वेश्चन आता भी होगा, आई एम टेलिंग यू, जिन लोगों को ये क्वेश्चन आता भी होगा, उन्होंने भी मिस्टेक करी होगी. क्या मिस्टेक करी होगी? They would have listed the features. They would have listed just the features of the Chandela architecture. And again, this is just an example. So, whenever you are reading, whenever you are writing the answers of art and culture, focus should not be here only. What it reveals, this is the argument. This is the argument we need to focus. What actually they reveal, right? For example, like this. It reveals the dynamic human forms, emotional expression, sacred secular integration, social diversity, narrative depiction, movement and rhythm, architectural integration, spiritual symbolism, right? Yes, Rupko, correct. So, this is the template you can use. As far as the architecture or art forms are concerned, we can think how it reflects the social diversity, how it reflects the connection or the natural the values associated with the nature, how it talks about the spiritual symbolism, right? How it talks about the architectural integration, for example, exterior wall sculptures. अब ये सब एग्जाम्पल्स आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, नो वन विल हैव, राइट? लेकिन कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स तो पता है ना, जैसे आप लोगों को यहाँ पे लक्ष्मणा टेम्पल वेरी कॉमन, राइट? देन पार्श्वनाथ टेम्पल वेरी कॉमन. सो कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स तो आपको पता ही है, but leaving the question and the pages is not a good idea. So if there is a way you could have impressed the examiner is by focusing on the broad idea, what it reveals about. Now, चलो अब यहां पे भी मैं समझ रहा हूं एक प्रॉब्लम है कि दिस इज अ वेरी स्टैटिक टॉपिक, राइट? Probably you will not find enough content to fill both the pages, right? यही हुआ होगा कि you may not find enough spaces, enough content to fill the pages. Then what you could have done extra? What you could have done extra? For example, we could have basically talked about the contemporary relevance again. For example, for cultural preservation, right? For example, tourism-led development, for cultural economy, for women in public spaces, art in urban spaces, cultural diplomacy, inclusive aesthetics. So this is the contemporary relevance. Why are we reading about the various art forms? Because there are some contemporary relevance as far as the culture is concerned, as far as the tourism is concerned, as far as the position of women are concerned, as far as the art forms itself is concerned, as far as the heritage-led local development is concerned. Because government, if the government is trying to protect these art form and architecture, then it must be having some relevance. This is something you need to think logically. अगर गवर्नमेंट ये सारे इनिशिएटिव ले रही है, राइट? फॉर एग्जांपल स्वदेश दर्शन, वेड इन इंडिया एट हेरिटेज साइट्स, राइट? Then there must be some relevance of it, because through these initiatives, through these schemes, government is trying to promote its cultural values even at international level. So this dimension again can give you 1 marks extra at least, right? So it is not about the question, how difficult is the nature of question, but it depends on how you interpret it. Your interpretation is itself very subjective, and you are making the job of examiner very difficult. That is the reason you are not getting the marks. No, Shambhavi, you can see. अब इसमें आपको पता है कि I cannot fill the pages, right? So why I can't have the separate subheading itself? At least I will not be writing some vague point, open-ended statement. I can have a separate subheading. It will bring more visibility. एग्जामिनर को दिख जाएगा, अच्छा हाँ ये लोग यही कर रहे होंगे ना कि 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 8 फॉर्म्स लिख दिए और कंक्लूजन कर दिया. आपने एक अलग से सब हेडिंग डाल दिया है, कॉन्टेम्पररी रेलेवेंस. So it will be very, very visible in your answer. As soon as the examiner will see, he will not even read. वो उठा के ऐसे ही नंबर दे देना है आपको, because he will not be having time to go through each and every point, right? So this is the idea. So I hope you got the idea कि it is not the examiner, it is not the UPSC, right, who makes the question difficult. It is the you who makes the job of the examiner difficult as far as the marks are concerned. Now look at this question. How are climate change and sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations? Right? How are climate change and sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations? Discuss with example. टेम्पल का फिगर बना के एक्सप्लेन करना जरूरी होगा सर, यार इतना टाइम होगा आपके पास. And I will be least concerned about like in what depth you have read this topic, but I will be more concerned about whether you have been able to learn anything from the architecture as far as the relevance in the contemporary society is concerned. ठीक है, तो मुझे आपकी डेप्थ नहीं चेक करनी है. I have to see how broadly you can think like an administrator. हाउ ब्रॉडली यू कैन थिंक लाइक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर. और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर कभी भी आप यार आप खुद सोचो, मैं एग्जांपल देता हूं. आप किसी, जैसे कि आप ताजमहल देखने जा रहे हो, राइट. आप अपने साथ किसी एक नॉर्मल इंसान को लेके चले जाना, हु इज नॉट इवन प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द यूपीएससी, राइट. एंड यू टेक वन ऑफ योर फ्रेंड who has cleared the exam or who has become administrator, and you will find the difference when both the people, when both the person will be visiting a historical monument like Taj Mahal and all. आप उनकी सोच का डिफरेंस देखना. जो एक नॉर्मल पर्सन होगा ना, he will be just appreciating, यार look at the beauty of this wall, look at the structure, it's so fabulous. But on the other hand, the person, right, जिसको जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होगा, he will not be looking at the Taj Mahal just to appreciate the beauty, but he will also think differently. Differently ka means he will start thinking about what was the reason behind the construction of this temple, right? What kind of marble, from where the marble was exported, what was the idea of having the water body in front of the temple. Ye sari cheezein, right? So now come to this part. How are climate change and sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations? Now, many students will get confused. Why? Because they will think ki how to basically generate the point for many island nation. That is a point number one, right? है कि नहीं है? Most of us will get confused कि यार मुझे तो island के नाम ही नहीं याद है. Yes, but this question is not only about the island, but it is more about the this part, affecting the very existence of many island nation. Matlab existence. Now you need to ask yourself, the existence of any island depends on what? Existence of any island depends on what? On what parameters can we say the existence of island nations, right? On what parameters we can say the existence of island nations are under threat? Tell me. किस किस पैरामीटर पे हम लोग बोल सकते हैं existence is at threat?
Two already given in the question itself, I think. Climate change and sea level rise.
These are the factors. Climate change and sea levels are the factors. They are the cause. They are the cause. Right? And this is the effect. Right? Yes. See, Himanshu, no, this is a problem. You are talking, see, okay, इस तरीके से समझो आप. First, you need to understand what is the mistake you might think as far as the structuring of the answer is concerned, right? अब यहां पे आप लोग जानते हो क्या करोगे, बहुत सारे लोग क्या करेंगे, and trust me, I think you already have done it. Climate change is one subheading. Sea level rise is second subheading. How many of you have done this? Tell me. How many of you have done this? Be very honest with me and honest to yourself also. कितने लोगों ने ये करके आए हैं एग्जाम में कि यार दो सब हेडिंग दिख गई, क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड सी लेवल राइज. यार ये दोनों एक ही चीज है. It's not a different thing, right? It's not a different thing. क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से ही सी लेवल राइज हो रहा है. So there can't be a two separate subheadings, right? So there should be just one subheading. The impact of climate change impact of climate change and sea level rise on island nations. On island nations. This is my first subheading, right? Because affecting है ना, तो अब मैं ये चीज दिखा सकता हूं. अब मुझे सबसे पहले तो ये डिड्यूस करना होगा कि क्लाइमेट चेंज या सी लेवल राइज की वजह से प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रही होंगी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल लाइक फ्लड, सॉल्ट वाटर intrusion, right? Loss of marine sources, right? Loss of biodiversity. Yes or no? Loss of biodiversity. अब इसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा होगा. लाइवलीहुड लॉस, राइट. देन माइग्रेशन, राइट. लोअर इकोनॉमिक प्रोडक्टिविटी, हेल्थ क्राइसिस, है कि नहीं है. इफेक्ट ऑन टूरिज्म, माइग्रेशन. यस, वेरी गुड. तो मेरा आर्ग्यूमेंट यहां है, दिस इज द कॉज, दिस इज माय कॉज ड्यू टू क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द इफेक्ट हेयर. अब देखो अन्वेषा, सुनो. अब देखो, यस हेल्थ क्राइसिस लिखी है. अब यहां पे जस्ट थिंक लॉजिकली, यहां पे आप कोई भी आइलैंड लिख दो, किरिबिती आइलैंड, राइट. जैसे आपने लिखा है टुवालू आइलैंड. यार कोई भी आइलैंड कहीं भी लिख दो. आप क्या मुझसे बोल सकते हो कि टुवालू आइलैंड में इकोनॉमिक प्रोडक्टिविटी डिक्लाइन नहीं हो रही है? आप बोल सकते हो ऐसा? These effects are not specific to any particular island. Maybe all the islands might be facing the same issues, all the same issues. तो दिमाग वहां पे लगाना ही नहीं है, ठीक है. इसी को हम लोग बोलते हैं कि यहां पे there could be a scope of some like arrangement. Yes, मालदीव हो गया, ये सारी चीजें कहीं भी लिख दो उठाकर यार. उसको कौन देखने जा रहा हो, मतलब उतना तो डेटा ही नहीं है हम लोगों के पास. एंड ऑल दीज प्रॉब्लम आर कॉमन प्रॉब्लम, राइट. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, चलो यहां तक तो आप लोगों ने सोच लिया, यहां तक आपने सोच लिया. नाउ आई वॉन्ट यू टू टेल मी, थिंक लाइक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, what are the other aspects you could have included in this answer? Though the question is not specifically want you to add another aspects, because this is more than enough. You could have बहुत लोगों ने, आप लोगों ने इसमें वर्ल्ड का डायग्राम बनाया होगा with all the island nations. इसके अलावा what else? Solution. Okay, very good. Now you are thinking like administrator, Mansi. The solution, right? What is the possible solution? Now एक चीज ध्यान रखना यहां पे, climate change is not, it is a global problem and it is the responsibility of every country to participate to deal with this issue. Yes or no? है ना, सबकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होनी चाहिए. It's not only about India. It's not only about those nations which are prosperous in the prosperous. It should be the responsibility of every country to come forward and fight against the climate change and contribute something towards the healthy climate. So यहां पे अब आपको सोचना है कि solution किस टाइप का देना है, right? So again, यहां पे लोकलाइज्ड एंड ग्लोबल सोल्यूशन, ये शांभवी, वेरी गुड। सो ग्लोबल सोल्यूशन में हम क्या बात कर सकते हैं? वी कैन टॉक अबाउट द कन्वेंशंस, वी कैन टॉक अबाउट द फ्रेमवर्क, we can talk about the green finance, green financing, we can talk about the CDRI, right? है कि नहीं है? So broadly सोचना है हमको, because this is a globalized global problem, it is not confined to India. So being an administrator, I have to think broadly. This is what your solution should look like. आप यहां पे सीओपी की बात कर सकते हैं, क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस मैकेनिज्म की बात कर सकते हैं. यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द डेवलप्ड नेशन टू कंट्रीब्यूट टुवर्ड्स द $1 billion कमिटमेंट, राइट? प्रोटेक्शन फॉर क्लाइमेट रेफ्यूजीज, यस, उसके लिए आप कन्वेंशंस की बात कर सकते हैं. सो अब मुझे एक चीज बताओ, बहुत ही सिंपल सा. इफ यू आर नॉट केपेबल टू ओपन द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, इट्स लाइक दिस, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू यूज द वैल्यू एडिशन पॉइंट ऑल्सो. आप कितना भी पढ़ लो, कितना भी नोट्स बना लो, कितने भी वैल्यू एडिशन कलेक्ट कर लो, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू यूज इट अगर आप इन क्वेश्चंस को इस तरीके से ओपन नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो. सो इसीलिए मैं बार बार बोलता हूं, इट इज नॉट अबाउट what you read, what you learn, what you prepare. It's about what do you think, how do you apply. So there is a gap between the content and writing. That gap is basically how you think like an administrator, how you think like an examiner. And only then you can fill the gap. Otherwise, no one can help you in this entire world. So what can be the some steps taken by the island government? See, Shambhavi, is type के questions में, right? I would say the only steps which these island nations are very, very poor nations. Like they are poor nations. They are already, they don't have the technology. They don't have the capacity. So we cannot expect anything from them. The only thing which we can expect from them is the sustainable practices as far as agriculture is concerned, as far as the development, infrastructure development is concerned, right? That is what we can expect. And as far as the adaptation of green technology is concerned. But again, it has to be done with the help of developed nation. So the solution of these kind of question should be based on the shared responsibility. It should be based on the shared responsibility rather than the responsibility of individual nation. So shared responsibility is very important. Shared responsibility कैसे highlight करोगे? Through conventions, framework, finance, responsibility, right? So थोड़ा सा context समझो question का. It is not that difficult, and it will come when you will write more, or not write more, when you will brainstorm more questions. So this is what we are planning also from next week, right? I will be starting with the brainstorming sessions, be it like जो आप लोगों को question मिलेंगे GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 में, even essay का जो question paper होगा, हम लोग we will brainstorm, even PYQ we will brainstorm in the Zoom session. So the next 2 months we are going to do hell lot of practices as far as the PYQ is concerned. So I want to participate. I want all of you to participate in that, who all are the part of the Sure Shot Rankers program or the Seniors program or even the camp, right? So next week onwards, we are going to do it on a daily basis almost. चलो ठीक है. तो ये question clear हो गया, right? So this is the steps we can talk about. Loss and damage fund, India's Mahasagar vision for island cooperation, right? Coalition for CDRI, International Solar Alliance for climate mitigation, SIDS advocacy in United Nations climate negotiation, Paris Agreement adaptation commitment. So ये सारी चीजें हैं. Pranay, there are so many programs. It depends what is your qualification and which please fill the form and just you can get in touch with me. After looking at your answers only, I can suggest you any program or to anyone. I do not suggest any program to anyone blindly, because if I don't know which program will help you, how can I suggest anything? And I cannot suggest without looking at your answer. Improvement ही नहीं पता चलेगा कहाँ पे होना है, तो मैं क्या suggest कर सकता हूँ? So please fill the form and get in touch with me as soon as possible. We'll discuss the answers and then we will decide which program will help you if you are giving the mains in 2026. If not 2026, for 2027, Sure Shot is the best program you can go for. And anyone who wants to discuss their answers, if they are confused, what approach will help them in qualifying 2026 mains, please fill the form, or if you are in Delhi, you can directly visit. Right? I'm always there and we can discuss the answers. Now, as far as this question is concerned, right? Question is very simple. What are the non-farm primary activities? How are these activities related to physiographic features in India? Discuss with suitable examples. How many of you have find these questions easy? आपने attempt किया था? Fresher? Tell me, how many of you have find this question easy? Obviously, the question was easy if you know what are the non-farm primary activities, right? Because many students, they were confused, what are the non-farm primary activities itself? So all the primary activities except the farm produces. Are non-farm primary activities, right? It could be anything. It could be anything. चाहे mining हो, चाहे fisheries हो, animal husbandry हो, right? All these activities are primary, non-farm primary activities. So this part was easy. Now, how far these activities related to physiographic features in India? Now, this is the most important part. Question does not ask you, ठीक है, ये चीज ध्यान में रखना जो मैं बोलने जा रहा हूं. Question does not ask you to map. ठीक है? Question does not want you to map. Between the region and the non-farm activity or non-farm primary activity. This, if you are interpreting the question like this, answer is no. I want you to think and tell me what is the demand of this question. And if you will be able to interpret the demand of this statement, only then the next dimension will open. ये भी मेरी guarantee है. Otherwise, you are going to mess up with the answer of this question, for sure. Yes, very good. Now you have started to think differently. How the physiography of India or physiographic features of India is favorable for non-farm activities, right? So this question is not about the mapping. बहुत लोग मैपिंग करके आए हैं कि जैसे हिमालयन रीजन में एनिमल रियरिंग कोस्टल रीजन में, फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हाट, फिशरीज, राइट. प्लेटूज रीजन में mining and all. Mining and all. This is what is the mapping, right? But why do you think the coastal region or animal rearing is common in Himalayan region? What make it more feasible? Why in coastal region fisheries are dominating? Why? Because of the long coastline, right? Because of the government policies, government का support मिल रहा है. Huge population. As far as the plateaus are concerned, why mining is very common? Because of the presence of certain minerals, rock systems, salt. Only that is the reason why plateau region is more favorable for mining. कंपल्सरी मैपिंग मैप एंड शो द रीजन. हाँ चंद्र, वो तो करना ही है. मैप तो यार ज्योग्राफी के क्वेश्चन में या तो मैप बनाना है या मैकेनिज्म बनानी है. देयर आर ओनली टू टाइप ऑफ diagrams you can use. If the question is based on the distribution, draw map. If the question is based on the mechanism, draw the flow chart. Right? Yes. Very good Rahul. तो हाँ, इस टाइप के हमको कमेंट्स डालने हैं. Now the question is, अब मुझे एक चीज बताओ. Now I want you to think, what is the other dimension we can link with? What are the other dimension we can link with? Think. एक पार्ट और आएगा आंसर में. बताओ क्या है वो. चंदन, रेशमा बताओ, राहुल. यार पुश नहीं करोगे अपने आप को तो कैसे क्वेश्चन को ब्रेक डाउन करोगे. यू हैव टू पुश योरसेल्फ, बिकॉज एटलीस्ट इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ नॉन फार्म. नो शांभवी. एक्सपैंडिंग द स्कोप ऑफ नॉन फार्म. नो नो नो. देखो अब क्वेश्चन फिर से देखो आप लोग. क्वेश्चन सेज हाउ फार दीज एक्टिविटीज आर रिलेटेड टू physiographic features, right? Now since it's a geographic ka question based on the geography, how it is getting affected? Yes. So climate change could be a reason, very important reason, or maybe infrastructure could be a reason due to which we are not able to take the benefit of non-farm primary activities. And the question, why do you think the question is asked? Why do you think the question is asked? आपको मैं ये चीज भी हमेशा सोचने के लिए बोलता हूं कि before even you start writing, you have to understand the examiner's mind. You have to read the examiner mind. What could be the possible logic behind this question? Because the contribution of, or because of the declining productivity of farm sector due to the climate change, we are talking about, we have started exploring the opportunities in non-farm primary activities. Yes? Very good Priyank, very good. Now you have got the idea कि अब मैं क्या लिखूंगा next part में. I will not be talking about this only in my entire answer. Due to climate change, importance is given to the non-farm activities because the productivity in the farm sector has started to decline drastically. There are a lot of issues. So, for the economic benefit or for the society, we should be focusing on, or we should be giving equal importance to the non-farm primary activities also. So, I will talk about, after this part, I will talk about the issues or the threats to non-farm primary activities. That is my second part of the answer. Right? For example, this changing due to क्लाइमेट चेंज, जैसे कि फिशरी सेक्टर है, ड्यू टू क्लाइमेट चेंज ओशन वार्मिंग अफेक्ट फिशेस कैचेस, एनिमल हस्बेंड्री, heat stress reducing the productivity, right? Then horticulture, temperate mountains, apple belt shifting upward, right? So forest fires, biodiversity stress, pollination cycle disruption. तो ये सारी चीजें आप लोगों को थोड़ी सी सोचनी पड़ेंगी, ठीक है? चलो, नाउ द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, कॉन्टेम्परेरी रेलेवेंस में अब हम लोग यहां पे वे फॉरवर्ड जब लिखेंगे, राइट, then we can talk about the government initiative. For example, Matsya Sampada Yojana, Livestock Mission, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, then Integrated Development of Horticulture, Blue Economy Policy, CAMPA, Green Fund, Natural Farming Initiative. So, अब ये सब चीजें जो हैं, points, you all are aware of these examples, but first you have to find a scope, only then you can use it. अदरवाइज ये आपके नोट्स में धरे के धरे रह जाएंगे, आप उनको यूज ही नहीं कर पाओगे. सो इट्स माय हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट फ्रॉम एवरीवन हु इज गोइंग टू अपीयर फॉर द मेंस दिस ईयर, फोकस मोर ऑन स्कोप, फाइंडिंग अ न्यू स्कोप इन योर आंसर. ओनली देन योर नोट्स विल बिकम only then your notes will become helpful. Otherwise, they are useless. They are useless as long as they are in your notes. The content is useless as long as they are in your notes. So I hope you are understanding the importance of this brainstorming sessions, which we will be starting soon from next week. Now, this question. The ethos of civil services in India stand for combination of professionalism with nationalistic consciousness. Elucidate. Right? Tell me, what do I need to focus on? What are, सबसे पहली चीज तो I am pretty sure most of you might have misinterpreted the question itself. Yes, anyone, please tell me. The ethos of civil services in India stands for the combination of professionalism with nationalistic consciousness. How many of you have divided the answer like this? That ethos of civil services in India stand for the first subheading, professionalism and nationalistic consciousness. Tell me. Rule 2, Risha says, rule to role based civil services for citizen centric governance. चंदन आपने किया था, एक्सपेक्टेड था. बहुत लोगों ने किया है ये. Risha, can you be more elaborate? Can you elaborate your thought? Because I think you have got the right idea as far as the demand of this question is concerned. No, Risha, not. Don't give me the example. Please give me the more. See, when we are saying, it stands for the combination of professionalism with nationalistic consciousness. So these words are not different. They should not be treated differently when we are talking about the ethos of civil services. Because ethos of civil services is not only about the professionalism, nor it is only about the nationalistic consciousness. It has to be the combination of both. It has to be the combination of both. What does it mean? Yes, professionalism attains result if it is guided by nationalistic consciousness, it will lead to benefit for maximum number of people. Yes Shambhavi, very good. Because हम लोग देखो, जब हम लोग प्रोफेशनलिज्म की बात कर रहे होंगे, so we will be talking more about what? We will be talking about the various values, or we will be talking about the, for example, the rule of law. But tell me one thing, do you think the rule of law alone, without nationalistic consciousness, rule of law alone without nationalistic consciousness can lead to good governance? Answer is no. So जैसे आप लोगों ने बोला, yes, professionalism attains result if it is guided by nationalistic consciousness. It will lead, yes, Raj Dharma, Seva Bhav, exactly. So गलती यहां पे क्या करी होगी बहुत लोगों ने? Generic answer. You might have talked about the integrity, commitment, efficiency, impartiality, accountability, political neutrality, right? I am not saying that these should not be the answer. Yes, these values has to be there in your answer, but the way you are going to frame the points, it should look like a different. How? For example, जैसे कि neutrality, not administrative indifferences, objectivity with empathy, rule of law with public welfare, impartiality with social justice, accountability with public trust, right? So basically all these points which we are talking about here, right, this is the nationalistic consciousness. So just talking about these values will not help, क्योंकि word and लगा है उसमें, combination of both. So these values will reflect the nature of professionalism, but without these values, right, professionalism may not help. So that is how you have to balance your answer, right? I hope this is clear. Now, in this question, do you think that the globalization result in only an aggressive consumer culture? Justify your answer. Now, how many of you have thought about or read written the answer like this? Yes, no. How many of you? Yes and no. Yes, the globalization has resulted into an aggressive consumer behavior or culture. However, no. Yes, however, no. And when you, okay, Risha, now just tell me one thing. However, no. देखो, अब यहां पे एक चीज समझना, मैंने क्या बोला था स्टार्टिंग में? You don't have to treat yourself as a student. You have to treat yourself like an administrator, and you have to treat yourself indifferently, differently, right? तो मतलब मुझे ये पता है कि बहुत सारे लोग इस आंसर को इस तरीके से लिख के आएंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I'll give you one simple example. Most of the student will write, yes, globalization has led to or has resulted into aggressive consumer culture, right? However, no, it has not, right? अब यहां पे देखो प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रही है. As far as the first demand of the question is concerned, everyone will be writing the same points, right? You will start talking about the like consumerism, westernization, right? चाहे जैसे इंग्लिश सॉन्ग हो गए, मूवीज हो गई, राइट, क्लोथिंग हो गई, फूड हो गया, क्लोथिंग, फूड, राइट. सो बेसिकली कंज्यूमर कल्चर, कंज्यूमर को मैंने ब्रेक डाउन कर दिया. कंज्यूम, व्हाट वी आर कंज्यूमिंग, वी आर कंज्यूमिंग द सर्विसेज, राइट. सर्विसेज कुड बी एनीथिंग, चाहे वो डिजिटल सर्विस हो, नॉन डिजिटल हो, एजुकेशन हो, कुछ भी हो, राइट. सो आई थिंक दिस पार्ट एवरीवन माइट हैव डन द सेम वे. यस और नो? ये पार्ट तो सबने लिखा होगा. यस, इट हैज लेड टू द अग्रेसिव कंज्यूमर कल्चर. Yes or no? Is the first part addressed by everyone in the same way? और उसके अलावा कुछ हो भी नहीं सकता है, right? Now the problem, I'm pretty sure the problem would be with this part. We have to be very careful when we are addressing this part. How we have to be very careful? We are not going to prove this presumption wrong, because yes, globalization की वजह से इफेक्ट पड़ा है. We have to accept this presumption, but we can say that it has not replaced the culture completely, neither it has any effect. तो हम एक्सट्रीम स्टेटमेंट नहीं लेंगे. So to some extent we are saying yes, globalization has resulted into, it has resulted into an aggressive consumer culture, but it has not replaced completely, but has not replaced completely. This is the core argument where you could have made the difference in your answer. For example, you go to McDonald's, right? McDonald's में क्या खाली वेस्टर्न बर्गर मिलते हैं? मैकालू, what is मैकालू? आलू है कि नहीं उसके अंदर, right? To highlight the Indian flavor. What about indie pop? Indie pop music, have we completely shifted to pop system? Answer is no. For example, yoga maybe. Now in India, we are trying to integrate the Korean method in our local practices. So Korean influence हो रहा है. So यहां पे मुझको इंटीग्रेशन दिखाना है. We cannot say no, yes, globalization has led to an aggressive consumer culture. No, it has not. Yes, even in dressing. So yes, it has led to aggressive consumer culture, but has not replaced it completely. That is a more logical argument, right? So generic way of thinking like consumerism, materialism, brand culture, westernization, fast fashion, lifestyle, but एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी अप्रोच क्या बोलेगी? फॉर एग्जांपल, मैकडोनल्ड में मैकालू टिक्की, नेटफ्लिक्स, सेक्रेड गेम्स, ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म प्लस लोकल स्टोरी टेलिंग इज ऑल्सो देयर, राइट? सिमिलरली अमेजॉन में लोकल सेलर्स आर ऑल्सो देयर, बायर. स्टारबक्स में मसाला चाय वेरिएंट्स, ग्लोबल प्लस लोकल. फास्ट फैशन, थ्रिफ्ट स्टोरीज, कंजप्शन प्लस सस्टेनेबिलिटी. सो दिस इज द point which will make difference in your answer, right? So I hope you have got the idea what we are supposed to do, and please, it's my humble request, now onwards, when you are brainstorming the PYQ in next 2 months, priority should be given to brainstorming. बहुत लोग पूछते हैं कि सर प्रायोरिटी किसको दें. आपके पास कंटेंट है या नहीं है, आपने नोट्स बनाए हैं या नहीं बनाए हैं, आप पढ़ रहे हो या नहीं पढ़ रहे हो, आई डोंट केयर. व्हाट आई केयर अबाउट हाउ मच टाइम यू आर स्पेंडिंग विद द ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग. आप खुद से कर रहे हो, वेल एंड गुड. नो शाम्भवी, नॉट दैट, राइट. तो आप ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग कर रहे हो या नहीं कर रहे हो, आप खुद से कर रहे हो, वेल एंड गुड. नहीं कर रहे हो, यू कैन कम एंड इंक्वायर अबाउट द वेरियस short programs, the rankers program which we have recently launched yesterday. You can inquire about that, because next week onwards we will be focusing on brainstorming, be it GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, essay, whatever it takes, we will do it. It's just a matter of time and you will see the differences. If you want to participate in this exercise, please fill the form given in the description box. And it's my promise to you. Just it's a matter of 1 week and you will see the difference in your answer writing pattern. I have received so many feedback from the veteran student that yes, they have improved the way they used to think, interpret the demand of the question as far as the structuring of the answer is concerned. Because ये 4 क्वेश्चन में आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि how your thought process has changed. Now you will not be interpreting the question like a student. You will think like an administrator. You will think like a examiner's mindset. And then the structure will come. Yes, this will be included in the camp also. It will be included in the camp. Right? So I'll wrap up this session here. I know the time is very crucial. Everyone is struggling for the mains. But my job is to make your job easy. And for any doubts, you can fill the given form given in the description box. Or either if you are in Delhi, please bring your answers and discuss with us. Only then we can share the inputs or the area of improvement, right? PYQ solution book I can use as a reference. There are no books, Himanshu. I have never suggested anyone to go through the PYQ solution. The solution are like out of box. You don't read it. It's my humble request. PYQ के solution मत पढ़ो. If you really want to utilize the PYQ, brainstorm करो यार, जैसे हम लोग कर रहे हैं. That way you will be able to recall the points also, ना. Active recalling इसी को बोलते हैं. Active revision इसी को बोलते हैं. And it will also open your mind. Don't sit with notes and just mug up. Sit with the PYQ. Try to explore the different ideas, the different ways to open the scope of the answer. Himanshu, no, you cannot purchase the brainstorming session. यार अब फीस ही बहुत कम है already programs की, right? So brainstorming sessions will cost you more than the entire program itself. We have done a brainstorming of last 30-40 years of PYQ in seniors batch. Yes, you should. Okay, so thank you so much and best of luck for your mains. And for any doubts, please feel free to get in touch with us. Thank you so much. I'll prepare next video, most probably in GS paper 4. There is a huge scope as far as the GS paper 4 is concerned. And it's my promise to you, after that session, you will be surprised to see how the answers or the structure of the ethics question can be prepared, right, to bring more visibility. So maybe in a couple of days, I'll come up with the GS paper 4 brainstorming session. Thank you so much. See you.